Let's begin with what are plant tissues. Now, plant tissues can be simply classified into two categories. The first is meristematic tissues and the second are called as permanent tissues. Permanent tissues can further be classified as simple permanent and complex permanent tissues. In the first round, we would understand meristematic tissues. So, meristematic tissues are those tissues which are actively dividing. That means they help in the growth. Now, growth in two ways. One is in terms of length, so the height would grow. The other is in terms of width. That means the girth of the plant would increase. Okay, so meristematic tissues are actively dividing tissues which help to increase either the length of the plant or the width. Now, these meristematic cells are small. They have a very thin wall. They are packed tightly. There is no intercellular space which is present. So, the cells are packed very closely with no intercellular space that lies between them, and they have a typically large nucleus. Now, this is one of the major difference between meristematic and a permanent tissue. Meristematic tissues have a large nucleus which is actually in the center. However, in the case of permanent tissue, there is a small nucleus on the peripheral side. That's one of the very important differences between meristematic and permanent. Besides the fact that meristematic are actively dividing, permanent are not actively dividing cells, and permanent tissues form the bulk of the plant. Right? So, meristematic tissues can be of three types: apical, intercalary and lateral. Let's understand each of these. Apical means the tip. That means the end. Now, when we talk about a plant, this plant has a growth in terms of root as well as shoot. So, the tip of the shoot as well as the tip of the root both would have this apical meristematic tissues, and the idea is to increase the length of the plant. So, it could be upwards as well as downwards in case of roots. The next is intercalary. Intercalary meristems are present at the internodes or the base of the leaf. Base of the leaf as in the case of pinus, and the idea is to increase the node or the length. Right? The next is lateral. Now, lateral, as the name suggests, grows in radially. So, what happens is the width increases. A good example is what? Cork cambium. So, cork cambium of the plant explains that the width of the plant would grow, and this explains a lateral meristematic tissue. Now, meristematic tissues are also known as meristem. That's another important term that you must be familiar with. The next important thing is the shape. Now, interestingly, meristematic tissues could be of rectangular shape, oval shape or spherical shape. Any of these shape could be present in the case of meristematic tissues. Coming next, we move to another classification which is permanent tissues. Now, permanent tissues are divided into simple permanent and complex permanent. Complex permanent would include xylem phloem, which we would understand in a while. Then we have the simple permanent tissues. Simple permanent tissues can be classified into three types. So, simple permanent tissues can be classified into three types. One is the supportive simple permanent. The second is the protective simple permanent, and the third is the conducting tissues. Now, conducting, which is the part of the complex permanent, so we'll leave it for a while. But under supportive and protective, what are there? Supportive, as we say, parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. So, they provide support to the plant and they are the supportive permanent tissues. The next is protective permanent tissues. Under protective permanent tissues, we have epidermis and cork. Now, what is the difference? Epidermis is the outermost layer. It's the protective layer. So, in the case of leaf, if you understand what is epidermis, there would be an upper epidermis and a lower epidermis. On the lower epidermis, what would be present? Stomata. And this stomata would be protected by what? This stomata would be protected by guard cells. Guard cells would control the opening and the closure of the stomata. So, the lower epidermis do have stomata which actually maintain the turgidity of the cells present. So epidermis, the upper epidermis, lower epidermis in the case of leaf. Now sometimes this epidermis is again important because in certain cases it does form cuticle. The next is cork. What is cork? Cork is also known as phloem. Now phloem is a protective tissue which is usually seen in old dicot plants. It can be lignified and there can be a deposition of wax which is known as suberin. So suberin is a waxy deposition which is part of the cork, and cork is actually at the periphery. In the case of old stems and old plants, monocots as well as dicots, there are dead cells which are actually waxy and have a coating outside which we call as suberin. The idea of cork is what? The basic idea of cork is to prevent injury to the plant. So it actually protects the plant and therefore it falls under the category of protective tissue. The role of epidermis is again protection, but cork is more turgid and therefore provides better protection from injuries. The next important thing under cork is what? Cork does have pores in certain cases. These pores are known as lenticles. Now what is the function of lenticles? Lenticles help provide airflow within the tissues and the internal tissues and therefore maintain the aeration within the system. Coming on to the next, which is supportive tissues. Supportive tissues are classified as parenchyma, collenchyma, skerlenchyma. Parenchyma, as you can see in the diagram, are loosely packed. They do have ample of intercellular spaces, usually a single large vacuole, and a bulk part of it is present. So the above section, as you can see, are the cross section for parenchymatic cells, and the down one are the longitudinal cells, longitudinal section. So under the longitudinal section, we can see there is a small nucleus which is present within a large cytoplasm, and this has a very thin cell wall. However, in the case of collenchyma, what happens is the collenchyma cells are arranged in a systematic order in hexagonal structure, but their outer corners have a thick outer layer. Okay, so the primary wall here in the case of parenchyma is thin, however it is thick in the case of collenchyma. Now parenchyma, the main purpose is what? Parenchyma, the main idea is to store the food, and if it is in a plant which has chlorophyll, it would have chlorenchyma, and the idea would be to synthesize food. Similarly, if it is a floating plant, it would be arenchyma. The idea is to help the plant, support the plant to float. Collenchyma, on the other hand, provides flexibility. That means if there is injury onto the plant would just don't drop, it would bend, and that capability of bending comes from where? Comes from collenchyma. So collenchyma actually provides flexibility to the plant. And then we have skerlenchyma. Skerlenchyma are dead, thick and lignified cells. They do not have any intercellular space that is present. There is no cytoplasm, and they have an end-to-end movement, as you can see. The primary cell wall is thin, but the secondary cell wall is thick. Again, a very important characteristic. Among all these, skerlenchyma is one which has dead and thick lignified walls. So very, very important. And the idea of skerlenchyma is to provide support to the plant. Now this skerlenchyma has two types of cells. One is skerlets and the other is the stony cells. Skerlet, which is the stony cell, and the other is the fiber. Now skerlet, which is the stony structure, is present where? Pulp of guava is a good example to understand skerlets. Seed coat is another example in case of fruits which are more stony. For example, nutshells are good examples of skerlets. Then there is fiber, which is another example of skerlenchyma. So skerlenchyma, which is classified as skerlets, and fibers are a classic one. Fibers are one which are elongated, narrow, and they taper at both the end. As you can see in this diagram, they are tapering. However, neither the parenchyma nor the collenchyma are tapering. They are rectangular pieces, as you can see in the cross section, the longitudinal section. However, sclerenchyma tapers at both the end. So that is a classic characteristic which makes it different from parenchyma and collenchyma. So we are all done with supportive tissue. We have completed protective tissue, supportive tissue. Now coming on to permanent tissues which are complex in nature. Xylem and phloem. The role of xylem, as we have understood in our lower grades, is to actually transport water and minerals to the plant. However, the role of phloem is to transport the processed material from the leaves to the different parts of the plant. Now, xylem can be understood or has four components. They are called as trachea, vessel, xylem parenchyma and xylem fiber. So xylem trachea is what? They are elongated dead cells. As you can see, they taper at both the ends. Very important. Okay. So trachea, xylem trachea tapers at both the end. All forms of xylem are dead except xylem parenchyma, which is living. Very, very important. Phloem, on the other hand, is a living conductive tissue with only phloem fiber, which is dead. So a good way to remember is both xylem fiber and phloem fiber are dead. So that's how you can remember. But phloem is a living conductive tissue and therefore phloem fiber is an exception which is dead. Easiest way to remember. So coming on to all the four elements of xylem. Understanding trachea first, it is dead, elongated, tapering at both the ends. The wall is lignified and the ends are not perforated, but in certain cases there are pits which are seen within the tracheae. The next is the xylem vessel. Xylem vessel appears to be a tube-like structure, as you can see here. It is open at both the ends. Now, can you answer why it is open at both the ends? The logic is very simple. The end actually gets dissolved and this allows a smooth conduction through the xylem vessel. So to allow a free conduction, xylem vessel have actually the ends which are dissolved, but the wall of the xylem vessel is thick as well as lignified. The next is xylem parenchyma. Xylem parenchyma, as we said, is living. The idea is conduction of water through the xylem parenchyma, and since it is parenchyma, we have already understood the function of parenchyma. It does store food and helps in the movement of minerals as well. The next is xylem fiber. Xylem fiber is also known as wood fiber or sclerenchymatous fiber. Sclerenchymatous meaning it is actually rigid, a little rigid in nature, and as you can see the structure, it is long, narrow, tapering and lignified. The idea of fiber is what? Provide mechanical support. So that is the basic differences and the understanding of the four elements of xylem. Coming on next is what? Coming on next is the phloem. Now phloem, as we said, is a living conductive tissue with only exception where we say phloem fibers are present and phloem fibers are dead. Now coming on to sieve tubes. So as you can see the structure here, this is the sieve tube. The end of the sieve tube would have the sieve plates, and these are cylindrical conducting tissues which are arranged end to end. So one, next. So it's a arrangement which is seen. They are mature cells without any nucleus, but the walls which are present are thin in the case of sieve tubes. Very, very important, sieve tubes have thin walls. Now, then comes the companion cells. Companion cells are again one which have very thin wall, as you can see in the diagram, but from the shape we can understand they are parenchymatous. That means they help in storage. The cytoplasm here is very, very dense and there is a prominent nucleus that can be seen in the case of companion cells. Now, companion cells are associated with sieve tubes, and they help in the conduction by means of plasmodesmata. So the process of conduction of the food through companion cells become important. The next is phloem parenchyma. Now, as you can see here is the parenchymatic cells. So phloem parenchyma is living. Very, very important. If we go back, we remember here xylem parenchyma was also living. Okay, with exception to all which were dead. In case of xylem parenchyma was living. Similarly, phloem parenchyma is also living. The idea of phloem parenchyma is, again, it is a parenchymatic tissue. So what it would do? It would store food. Then comes the phloem fiber. Phloem fiber is dead and is an exception in the case of phloem. It is elongated, has lignified cells, and it provides mechanical strength. Good example of phloem fiber, if you see around in daily life, jute, hemp. So all these jute bags, hemp bags that you use are made up of actually phloem fibers. So it provides mechanical strength and durability. So this is a basic understanding of the plant tissue. Now here what we have done is taken a quick section to understand. So this is a plant. We have the roots. This is the soil line and the shoot section. Now this is the internode area, the area between the two nodes, and this is where the internodal meristematic tissues are present. Here is the apical bud, and this is the point where apical meristematic tissues would be present. So we have understood the apical meristematic tissue, the internode, and then across the stem there would be the lateral meristematic tissues. And then among the leaf, stem and root, we have seen that in all of these three there is xylem and phloem, which together forms the vascular bundle. So xylem and phloem together is called as a vascular bundle. Now if we talk about the stem, the arrangement of the xylem and phloem is a concentric ring. However, in the case of root, xylem is between the phloem, and this arrangement is a kind of inverted Y within a phloem. Okay, so that's again a vascular tissue arrangement. However, the details on the TS of the transverse section of stem and root we would go with in the further lectures. So this is the very basic of understanding the plant tissues and the classification for plant tissue.